All right, how's everyone doing this evening? It's your boy Eddie Nines here. We're back with our second annual Twitch crew talk for second. Did I say second annual? Second or weekly? It's the second. It's the second crew talk. Okay, so second crew talk. The date is July 21st. I'm your man Eddie Nines. I am a admin mod with Twitch crew, and then we also have. Thank you over here.
I don't know where I am compared to you. I am next to you. Okay, I just had to look over here.
Yeah.
Musicial. I am also an admin for Twitch crew.
And I'm Jokerluvr. I am a creative streamer and a gaming streamer. I'm a variety streamer.
And I am Thromshall, and I am a variety streamer, and I'm just mostly here because of Jokerluvr.
Awesome. So I see we already got a couple people in the chat. New York Gamer, what's going on? Spamming the Joker emote. I love it. Luchamite, what's going on? He says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. Enemy Down, he's in here. That's our actually our feature member of the week. Good time in there. Baggy's in the house. Baggy, what's going on? Pavlin Command. Oh, man, everyone's rolling in here. So thanks for joining, guys. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Oh, Jono, what's going on? And I like to do this. This is fun. So I'm going to just do a little gaming news to get us started off. Don't make fun of my paper stack. I like my paper stack. I even have the earbuds that go like this time. So just a quick, some quick gaming news here. So what I'm going to start with first is the Calling 2. I don't know if a lot of you guys know about this game. This was the latest Battle Royale game that came out. And the reviews were so bad for this game that you literally got yanked off of Steam. Like, you can no longer get this game anymore. There are a couple things went into it. It was really bad timing. It launched 2 days before Fortnite Season 5 started, which we all know what Fortnite is. We love it or hate it. So not the best timing. Its peak concurrent player base was 249 players, and it actually got low as two players at one point. Literally, two people were playing this game. It was the developer's name was Xaviant, and it was so bad that not only did they pull Calling 2 off of Steam, they're actually going to go back and start working on the first Calling. About the first Calling actually came out fairly recently. It came out October 2017. And development actually ceased on that just 2 months after it came out. So it was kind of weird that they basically made a sequel that no one asked for, essentially. That's kind of interesting. So they're going back. They're working on the original Calling. They're moving it to free to play format, and they're issuing some refunds. So I guess the question for you guys is, do you think this is indicative of like some Battle Royale fatigue? You think it was a bad cash grab, or a little bit of both? As music types furiously.
No, sorry. I was trying to answer a question in chat.
Nah, you're fine.
But I'm still like, the first one. Now remind me about the first one. Was that like the one? It was never free to play, right?
Right. Neither the first one or the second one were free to play. They're going to make that first one free to play once it comes back out. So whenever that's going to be.
I feel like it might have been a cash grab, but then since the first one didn't they never went anywhere with it, how could it be a cash grab? Like, maybe it was a bad attempt at a cash grab.
Right. Well, I guess I would file it as maybe a cash grab because, one, no one asked for the sequel. Two, obviously it was rushed. If you look at the reviews for it, everyone says it was even worse than H1Z1, which I don't know if anyone played H1Z1, but I feel like that was an unfinished game. So it just kind of seemed like they thought maybe they could still like cash in on this Battle Royale thing, which I personally think is starting to kind of fatigue a little bit. I think people are kind of starting to get sick of them.
So you're thinking that because they were so you said they were charging for a game, right? For the first one. And so you're thinking that they're thinking they can make quick money off of basically an unfinished game,
right?
Just because it's Battle Royale, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we saw the same thing happen with survival games. You know,
I was gonna say that. Bring up Minecraft.
Yep.
Still, to this day, go find plenty of games that are 3 or 4 years old, even that are just in early access and still $35 on Steam. And it blows my mind. So it very well could be.
Cool. All right.
Well, and
So,
you
anyway.
playing the first one? Or when they
I
bring it
don't
back
even
out?
remember when the first one came out. Honestly, like
I
the
kinda
I
remember it,
don't.
but
And I mean that was pretty recent. I mean, end of last year. That's still. I mean, that wasn't nearly that long ago. So, and I guess the first one was actually melee based, and this one they try to, basically pull, all the basic tenets of the battle royale game, dropping in weapons, all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I do give them a little bit of credit for yanking it and giving refunds. I guess that's sort of a step in the right direction. But I mean, I guess
they
the point.
gave refunds. Okay.
Yeah, they're in the process of giving refunds for us. But my thing was like, why didn't you just stick with the first game and continue to develop that and make that better versus,
What was the name of it again?
The Culling,
Oh, The
Culling. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, it was they pulled it so fast. If you go look up Metacritic ratings for it, there's actually because Metacritic it takes like the aggregate review of 4 different reviews, and that they use it to make an average review. And they didn't even, it wasn't even on this. It wasn't even that long enough for that to happen. So it actually has a 0 rating right now. So
that's impressive.
yeah,
So,
that
wow.
takes
It's
some
kind
work.
of impressive.
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't think I've ever seen an actual 0 before. So
Yeah, I've
is
never even heard of
crazy.
it.
Yeah, so the
Yeah,
culling
yeah.
and then the culling 2, rather than making the culling better, why would they release the culling
Yeah,
2?
exactly.
Second one.
Yeah. I mean, and that sucks because I don't feel like it's on the developers. I feel like that's on the publishers and the higher ups, so to speak. I mean, the developers just want to make a game. I'm not gonna fault them for that. But yeah. So anyway, so let's move on here. And then the next Grand Theft Auto Online, talk about a game that has been out for a long time. Of course, the online component to GTA 5. It's been out for 4 years now, 3-4 years. GTA 5 came out like 2015, I want to say 2014, 2015.
Whenever it came
Something
out,
like that.
it came out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 at the same
That's
time.
right.
So that would have
That's
been a
right.
while ago.
Oh dang.
Yep. That was right. It was a tail end of PlayStation of that generation, and then.
Wow.
When the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out, because I remember you can move your accounts over to the newer console. So, but yeah, so game's still going really strong. They still have a really high player base.
2013.
Was it 2013? Yeah, I guess it would have been.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. But yeah, so
Ghibli just
that
tweeted that.
you did what?
Oh, I just said Ghibli just put that in chat too. 5 years.
Oh yeah,
2013.
yeah.
Tachi's in there too. Shanzi for the win. Baggy Duke, what's going on with the
And
5
Nerdy,
biddies?
I just want to point out real quick to Nerdy Cat Girl actually gave us the first biddies with 10.
Awesome. It's scrolling really fast. Nerdy, I apologize for seeing you up
Official.
there. Thanks for joining, by the way. I hope you're doing well. Anyway, so Grand Theft Auto Online, still really big player base. They're actually adding another update. This is called the After Hours update. Comes out July 24th, which I believe is Tuesday. If my math is right, which it usually isn't. So, but basically, what they're going to do is that the players will be able to operate a top shelf nightclub. They're actually bringing back Tony Prince, aka Gay Tony. Anyone who played Grand Theft Auto 4 might remember the Ballad of Gay Tony, which was a really cool add-on. He's a really cool character in like the Grand Theft Auto universe. As you know, it's all like kind of bigger, larger than life characters. And Tony Prince is kind of like going to be your partner in that little dealio. The cool thing about that is they're actually bringing in some real world DJs that are actually going to have in-character models in the game, as well as I'm assuming they'll probably have some of their music in it.
So you're gonna run
Solomon.
a nightclub?
Yeah, you're gonna run a nightclub complete with DJs and all that kind of stuff. And
Wow.
I actually think that's kind of cool. Yeah, and I think as always, I'll add some sort of narratives, and there'll probably be some heists related to that. Black Donna, Dixon, Tale of Us, Solomon are some of the DJs that they're bringing in. I think there was a clip of Black Donna like choking out a police officer, so that's always cool. You get brought into the game and you get your character's like choking out a cop. Cool. All right, so so a couple more things here. The Fortnite Summer Skirmish. And my note here is Fortnite Summer Skirmish equals bad. Anyone that know the Summer Skirmish is an 8-week tournament that Epic started with Fortnite, and essentially, basically, it was last Saturday, I believe, and they took like 100 of the top Fortnite players. A lot of them, or most of them, probably all of them, stream. I know Tim the Tatman was one of them. Daquan was one of them. But basically, they had to cut the tournament short because the lag was so bad, like unbearable lag, to the point where, because high level Fortnite players, it's a lot of high kills, moving around, that sort of thing. But the lag was so bad that people were just building their towers and just like huddling in them because they were afraid to die, because they couldn't. The lag was so bad that they couldn't even go shoot anybody. So that made the tournament lag on, which in turn the commentators really know what to talk about because everyone was just kind of like sitting in their tower, so to speak. So it was kind of a little bit of a disaster. I mean, the thing about that though is, it's an 8-week tournament, so they could always make improvements to it. It's kind of funny though, like it's a tournament thrown by Epic. You think the quality testing and whatnot would be there to make sure they didn't have the sort of lag, but hey, whatever. But so I think I think they can do though, they can maybe like incentivize aggressive play, maybe like make a kill worth so many points. Right. And then if you get the first to like 100 points, like if you make a kill like 25 points or something like that, I don't know. They could definitely do some things there to kind of make it better for the people that watch. Because I kind of feel like they don't know what the focus is going to be. Like, is the focus the game or is the focus these streamers? Because like I said, there's a lot of big name streamers in it. So me personally, I don't like the idea of them trying to make a tournament out of Fortnite. It's really not a game that is conducive to it. I know we do some tournaments here in Twitch Crew, and we do kind of use like the duo format. But in general, what do you guys think about, the whole using a battle royale game for a tournament?
Well, I mean, they've done tourneys for PUBG and H1Z1. It's been a big thing. Even at TwitchCon, they had, because last year they had a huge tournament going on for both of them. Like the arena for H1Z1 was insane. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to run a tourney for a battle royale. Fortnite itself, I mean, it is a little different in how some of the mechanics are, but I think a lot of it, what it comes down to is just how the tournaments run.
Yeah, right.
What is the typical format? Is it kind of like how we've done it in the past? Where okay.
I think so, yeah. And I actually didn't get to do most of them are run like in squads. You're in duos, but you play in squads. Essentially. So like you split up in duos and go your own way, and whoever has the most kills kind of wins. I'm assuming they might do it. I guess technically you could do it solos as well. You know what I mean? If everyone's in a squad, everyone just kind of goes their own way. You kind of got to get creative because the game itself doesn't really have any built-in sort of tournament options, kind of like a Rainbow Six Siege or like an Overwatch does. Which is why those games are so fun to watch in tournaments, because they're kind of built from the ground up to do that. So.
Yeah,
anyway.
Huggy Bear says that he believes Battle Royale is perfect for tournaments. So.
Oh, okay, Huggy. All right. Well, I mean, it's put it like this: it's definitely something people still want to watch for whatever reason. I think PUBG. A lot of people like to say that PUBG is dying. I don't think it's necessarily dying as much as it's not as popular as maybe it used to be. But Battle Royale is cancer, though. Huggy talking out both sides of your mouth. So much hacks. So on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and hit my last point here. And this was kind of interesting. This is about these YouTuber cons that seem to be going on now. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this, but it started with this. I want to talk about two of these cons that went on. And what I'm talking about is, there are these really big YouTube personalities. Like this one, Tanya Mongo. I don't know her personally. I've never heard of her material or anything like that. But apparently she's got 3.5 million subs on YouTube. And essentially how this whole thing started was, has anyone heard of VidCon?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, right. So basically, I guess with VidCon, some of the big creators get what's called a feature creator badge. And essentially all that means is that when you walk around, because, you're walking around at these cons and you're meeting your fans and stuff, but in order for you to have like the high level security, I guess you have to have one of these badges. I guess she didn't get a badge. She was pretty upset about it. So she was like, I'm going to start my own con. Screw this. I'm going to start Tanya Con. So basically it was poorly planned and orchestrated. They threw this together. Literally thousands of people were waiting outside. People were getting dehydrated. They didn't have enough water. They weren't providing water for people. People were just kind of sitting out in the street. And then when they did finally let people inside, it ended up being like a huge fire hazard because there was just so many people running around to kind of see, whoever was there. And I don't even think many people ended up seeing Tanya. So they ended up shutting that down. And then I think just last week, another YouTuber, his real name is Yusuf Erekat. I think he goes by FauciTube, I think is his name. Yeah. He tried to throw his own one too. I guess he was calling it Hate Dies, Love Arrives. It's kind of catchy, I guess. And he was trying to build this as like the next Coachella, right? Like he's like, he said Snoop Dogg was going to show up. He said Drake was going to show up. He made all these big promises, threw this thing together in like 7 days. And it ended up getting shut down because someone made a bomb threat. So they literally had to just like shut it down. So I guess the question I'm getting to is, what do you guys think about? What do you think of these YouTube cons? One, and do you think that the popularity of YouTubers in general is peaking? Because it seems to me like they're not satisfied with the millions of subs they have and the way things are going now, that they feel like they almost have to do something more because they're essentially kind of like reality stars now, right? So, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
So I actually watched a thing on TanaCon, and basically her whole thing, it was a revenge thing. She actually got, if I could remember correctly, she got banned from VidCon.
Okay.
And so she was basically going to give them the bird and say, I'm going to do my own and it's going to be better. And she decided, okay, let's plan it for the same days, 2 blocks or like a block, 2 blocks down from VidCon.
Yeah.
She promised free tickets, all this stuff, and they sold, I can't remember how many tickets, but they ended up, so they didn't actually end up selling free tickets. Everybody bought their premium passes so that they could meet the people that they wanted to meet.
Yeah.
And they didn't provide food or water. Most of the people couldn't even get inside because the space that they had reserved did not hold that many people.
Right.
And they had less than 10 people, I think, for security for all of those people.
10 people?
Yeah, it was a very small number, maybe 20, but it was not enough security to warrant the number of people there. And there was these kids that were there. They wanted to meet, their favorite YouTubers, and they didn't get the chance to. They got severely burned. There was one girl that actually got hauled out on by EMS.
Oh my gosh.
And so basically they got really lucky. And Tana has come forward and say she realized that planning it in such a short period and as a revenge thing was super immature.
Right.
This other one you're talking about, I don't know anything about. But a lot of it is just ego. And VidCon is basically what TwitchCon is for Twitch. And so
right.
It's a place for people to go and meet their favorite YouTubers and have those panels and the meetups and all of that. So I don't know. I really feel like when you get somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to make my own and do it bigger and better, then it's just one of those ego things. And
yeah. I mean, hey, if I had 3.5 million subs, statistical, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie to you, but I mean, it does seem like it could have been a lot worse. It definitely seems like it was hastily planned. But I don't know. Danny, Jenna, what do you guys think about that?
I didn't even know VidCon was a thing.
You know what? I didn't either.
So I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's basically like TwitchCon, but for YouTube.
Basically,
Right.
yeah.
And now these people want their own con for themselves because
basically
Wow.
because they can do it bigger and better.
Right.
Yeah, of course, because VidCon
Interesting.
doesn't combine other YouTubers of similar stature into one. Yeah, that's ridiculous to think that you're like, maybe you could have PewDiePie-Con. Maybe that's true. Like PewDiePie.
That one might work.
But when like
Are they old enough to go though? His fans?
Probably with parental guidance or something.
Parental supervision.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, it's definitely just hilarious that like 4 million subs is astronomical.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
But for them to think there's definitely probably hundreds if not thousands of people who have over 1 million subs So you have a lot of subs, but you're not crazy unique anymore. And that's good. You can make a lot of money doing this, but you're not that special. Like, especially if all the other ones agree to do VidCon, you're kind of screwed.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And that's the thing is, like, the Green Brothers created VidCon so that it would be all the YouTubers. Like, it's not an exclusive only, the fact that she named it after herself, TanaCon, like,
yeah. Says a lot right there, doesn't it?
Well,
it really does.
Most people watch multiple YouTubers. So, like, it's nice to go to, like, one place and meet a couple of your favorites instead of just going to, like, their individual one, Right.
And I mean, I feel like that makes it a lot harder for you to. I feel like there's going to be even more of a disconnect between the audience, right? Because if there's one person there and there's so many people there to see you, like, there's no way you're going to be able to see everybody. You know what I mean? So it's.
Well, and part of the problem too with TanaCon too is Shane Dawson, who has not gone to a convention in quite a while because he just decided it wasn't his. It's not his thing. He doesn't do that anymore. He's friends with Tana. She asked him to come, so as a favor, he agreed. And so there were people from all over the world that bought tickets to come to see specifically him, and they never got to.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a very interesting thing that's going on. And like I said, FauciTube, he tried it, his crashed and burned as well. But I really don't think this is going to be the last we see of this. I feel like YouTubers are going to keep trying to be like, oh, well, they're probably going to be like, see, I'll learn from the mistakes they made, and I can totally do this bigger and better and make it happen. So
it sounds like people with battle royale games or survival games, just any genre, anything that picks up like, oh, I'll do it better than them. It's cool.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Watch and learn.
And last little bit of news I had here. It's really not a big deal. I don't even know if we have any Madden players here, but Antonio Brown, the Pittsburgh Steelers, he is a Madden cover athlete for 2019. And that's all I have. So,
Jono.
John, do you play Madden?
I think he does.
I used to. I was a bigger NCAA football fan, but they yanked that game, so I'm not salty about it or anything. So, but yeah, so that. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can finish.
No, I'm just rambling. Didn't have anything important to say.
Well, I was just gonna say, to add on to your gaming news, we did have our first Overwatch tourney last night.
Thank you. See, this
that was our first one. Oh my god!
It was the very first one. There were 4 teams that competed, I believe.
Yes.
And Undead won. Was the caster. Did a fantastic job from what I saw. And the winning team of that was Know Yourself. So congrats to them. Our next tourney is next Friday, and it will be Siege. So for the Siege players out there, keep that in mind. And look out for the sign-up sheet so that we can get y'all ready for that one. So
awesome.
Thanks, Busey.
Cool.
Good wrap up. So,
nice.
So yeah, next we've got Jokerluvr, and she's gonna go ahead and cover the topic. So go ahead and take it away, Joker.
Okay. So yeah, I am a creative streamer. I do both digital art and traditional art, such as oil painting, and I'm brand new into watercolors, but I've been having a lot of fun with those. Creative streaming's nice because it's really chill and relaxing. A lot of people that when they come into my creative streams, they always say that they like my relaxing music and just the chill atmosphere of it, so that's nice, and it's a good way to kind of just relax and talk to your viewers, because like some games like Overwatch and I don't know, like really competitive games, you're kind of focused on the game a lot, so you can't talk as much to chat, which is it's fine. Like, I love streaming Overwatch, but the nice thing about my creative streams is I feel like I can talk a little bit more with my viewers. Problem with that, though, is it's kind of hard to draw and talk at the same time. Especially when you're trying to draw a straight line. Like, 'cause usually I have to hold my breath, so I'm like, okay, hold on. and it kind of makes my art take longer, but it's worth it, though.
Right.
And it's fun.
A lot of multitasking.
Yeah. Streaming digital art is much easier than traditional art, that's for sure. Because with traditional art, it's hard to get, at least for me, but maybe that's because I don't have all the right equipment, but it's hard to get the camera in like the perfect spot to like see my art and to have like my art in a good spot for me to draw to. Because like sometimes I want to be like really close, but then they can't see what I'm doing. So like I've started to get used to like, if like, cause I usually put my camera like right here and it's like looking down.
Yeah.
And so, but if it's like straight on, it looks crooked to the viewers. So I've kind of learned to like draw like this a little bit. Like,
Right.
so it's kind of difficult that way. But traditional art's much easier because you just, game capture, display capture, whatever, and then it just and you don't have to worry as much about if they can see what you're doing, unless you have like a webcam. Then you kind of have to make sure your webcam's not covering anything.
Right.
But yeah, I also do my creative streams on like a set schedule, so everyone knows, when I'm streaming creative and when I'm doing games. And I think people like that I stick to that because they kind of expect that. But yeah, I use the program Autodesk Sketchbook. It's actually free now. It used to cost money, like
$30
$50
a year.
Oh, $30 a year.
Yeah.
But now it's free. So, and it's really easy to use. So I like it. I never really learned Photoshop. Photoshop's always been so confusing to me. So yeah, Sketchbook works fine with me. And I use a Huion drawing monitor. It's actually just a computer monitor that I can draw on with this pen.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
And yeah, so it's just like drawing on paper, but on a computer monitor, and I can angle it so I can put it down or up or whatever.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, Joker, is it like a 1-to-1? Is it really like drawing on paper? Is there like a little bit of a delay, or is it really like almost exactly like drawing on paper, or is it you understand my question? Like, is it
yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Nice.
Sometimes the pen seems a little off sometimes, but like I can like recalibrate it and then it's a little bit better.
Okay.
But I feel like it's always slightly different, but I've kind of gotten used to it. It's not too bad though. It's pretty much pretty good.
But I mean, like with painting, you have to get used to like just working with the strokes and like there's always difficulties to whatever medium you're in. So
you gotta adjust to the equipment.
Right. Yeah, and my tablet is pressure sensitive too. So like if I press really hard, it'll be a bigger darker line, and so that also makes it seem more like traditional art.
Awesome. Very cool.
But yeah.
Very cool. The Soldier 76 stream was good. I agree, Jono. Her Soldier 76 was awesome. I think I saw that in its entirety. That was very good. And for me personally, I think it's really cool to see you make the progression from like when you start to like, and even if, because I might have missed one or two of the streams, it was really cool when I did catch it again to kind of see how much progress you made. It's like, it's very cool. It's very cool. And
I try to stick to like only working on it on stream so you guys can kind of see all of it. But occasionally I'll work on it off stream. Like if I feel like if drawing's taking forever, I'm like, okay, I gotta speed this up a little bit.
Right.
Otherwise,
so it looks like we have and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, you're fine.
Baggy was wanted to know if you said what kind of tablet that you use.
Oh yeah, it's a Huion 22-inch drawing monitor. And it's here, I'll spell it out in chat. That's how you spell it. And yeah, it's really nice. I love it. Danny got it for me for my birthday.
Yes.
Or Christmas. Yeah, birthday.
Yeah. It's like it's a much cheaper alternative to like a Cintiq, but the reviews I've seen people review both and they say that it's definitely a really good alternative because a Cintiq that's that size. It's
cheaper, right? Than Cintiq.
Yeah, a Cintiq would be like $2,000, like $1,500 to $2,000 that you got for $600.
And how much was this one?
$600.
Oh, okay, so that's a lot.
Definitely worth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I also got some art that I've made that I like. So I did this one on stream.
Oh,
This is
yeah, Ellie. I remember that one.
Ellie from The Last of Us, the first one, because I'm a big Last of Us fangirl.
Me too.
And yeah, this is oil paint. And that was a lot of fun, too, to do on stream. And I'm selling prints of it, too. I could also print it on a canvas just like this, but it'll obviously be more money if I do that. But, like, I actually got a new printer, and it actually prints really nice.
Ooh, nice
Yeah,
and
there's
glossy.
it. Oh, yeah.
Nice and glossy.
I just barely got matte paper now, so if people want it on matte.
Nice,
And then
nice.
I've been doing a lot of Overwatch art, because that's what I tend to draw what I'm really into.
Makes sense.
Yeah, which is usually like fan art of like video games, but like I've been doing a lot of Overwatch art. Oh, the glare though. But
That shows
here's
up
my
pretty good. I can see it. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Widowmaker from Overwatch. I did that digitally. I did that one. Maybe I did that one on stream, but I've done a lot of those kind of just like in that style with like the big splatters and
nice. So it looks like we've got a couple. If you don't mind me interjecting here, it looks like Huggy Bear wanted. Does doing creative streams make it less stressful than doing IRL or regular gaming?
I kind of think it's more stressful, personally, just on my end, because I think a lot of artists are kind of self-conscious a little bit about their art.
Yeah.
So there's also that, especially when I first started doing creative streams, I was like, oh God, if I mess up, people are going to make fun of me or, think I'm really bad at it. And,
right.
sometimes when I'm doing the initial drawing, because sometimes like I mess up a lot. Like some days you have good art days and you have bad art days where like some days your hand wants to do what your brain wants it to do and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
So I'm always scared of like having like one of those bad art days where I'm trying to draw and I just can't like. I think people have seen me where I'm like, oh, what my Mercy painting, I could not draw her other eyebrow, and it was starting to really bug me. Like, and I was like trying to keep my cool on stream. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm just gonna keep drawing this eyebrow over and over again.
I guess Huggy means if a person has social anxiety, does creative streaming help? I imagine.
I see.
Does it make it easier to do like kind of to be able to talk to people like it's an IRL stream, I guess, but have something to do?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because I mean, you have had a couple of streams where like one of your Soldier streams, I remember you kept saying we're not getting anything done because like you were just having fun talking to people. But you did make progress on Soldier. But yeah.
Yeah, it does make the art take longer for sure, but yeah, I could see that. It would also give you something more to talk about because if you just do an IRL, because IRL, like I could see maybe doing that for like maybe an hour tops, but I don't really know how you can IRL for like 3 hours or 4 hours,
Yeah,
I feel like I would run out of things to say, but if you're drawing,
well,
obviously you can talk about what's going on there.
Yeah, there's a focus. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. For sure. Nerdy Cat Girl, she said, other than the tablet, what do you paint/draw on? That's another question.
Oh, so usually I do painting. I like oil painting specifically. And I just get canvases from either Walmart or Hobby Lobby or something.
Nice.
And I gesso them, and then I just paint on those, like this right here. It's I usually do stretched canvases too. This one's like an 8x10. I tend to like to draw really big, so usually my paintings are a lot bigger than this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so canvas. And then for my watercolors, I got just the watercolor board. I don't even know if it has a specific name, just from the art store. I think every art store has them.
Right.
And if you don't use the canvas board for watercolors, you gotta tape, if you're like using watercolor paper, you gotta tape down all the sides really good or else the paper will warp from the water. But the drawing boards make it so you don't have to worry about that because they're not going to warp as much. Cool. So yeah.
Awesome.
You do a little mixed media too, right? With like your dream catchers that you've been doing?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I do these mostly for my Etsy, thinking maybe people would want them for wall decor or something. But yeah, so this is one of them.
Oh, nice.
I got the idea because I saw this burlap gessoed canvas at the art store once, and I was like, that looks cute. I want to put some on there. So I thought about dream catchers. Because my dad always calls me a hippie for some reason. So I had the idea of doing that, and then I was like, oh, I'll just glue stuff to it. So I got flowers and string, and then I just painted the round thing and the feathers. And yeah.
Nice.
Very, very
awesome.
cool.
That's all the
And
artwork I have to show.
As she mentioned, she does have an Etsy. I know Baggy has a command for it. Exclamation Etsy. Is that what he did? You guys should go check it out because she's got some cool stuff.
Definitely. Oh, there it is.
There
Boom.
it is. There it is.
Boom. Asking y'all shall receive. Thank you, Baggy. Or noodles, I should say. So. So, unless Joker has to add, I think we can move on. I think it's time to show our feature member clip, if we got that ready to go.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. Look at that. Wait, that's
Enemy down.
that doesn't look good. I know. Bang, bang. Yes, there we go.
Yes.
Yes.
So Enemy Down is our featured member of the week, and we have a little clip of his to share. So.
Okay, here we go.
That didn't do nothing. That did all the jack and shit. There we go. I think. Or did I get eaten again? Where the hell am I? Yo, I think I broke it. That didn't do nothing. That did all the...
Oh man.
Broke the game.
Nice.
So if you love,
we could have shown the other one.
Yeah, and you know what the other one is, Enemy. You know.
He's a retro gamer primarily.
Retro grammar.
Or a retro gamer. And I believe he was talking today about getting an old Atari up and streaming with that, which is really cool. And I'm
Nice.
super impressed
Dude,
that he was able to figure that out.
A game system that's older than I am. Yeah.
Right? So, way to be awesome. Look, there's his, if anybody isn't following him, there is his link to his page. So.
Also, he's a master Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat player, and basically any fighting game. He's the guy.
And he likes to murder Yoshi.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And
That's
he's convinced that Mario is a horrible person. He's got
Right.
Yes.
He's
yes.
very set on this.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yep.
dedicated.
Yep. Yeah, I do believe he's working
Team
on a documentary
Wario.
too. So.
Ooh, is it coming to Netflix?
Yes, you gotta let us know about that Netflix
I've heard if
premiere
you just call Netflix, they'll just sign you.
Let's switch on the front panel.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, all right. Well, so moving on, Mr. Thromshall, I think you are up next, sir, with some. I believe we're talking about some tech. I believe.
Yep. Streaming tech
Take it away,
tips. Okay, so really fun stuff here, guys. So I guess first things first. One thing I've noticed a lot of people doing, and sometimes it depends on the game. Sometimes you have technical limitations. Like I know I've seen people at first when they were streaming Sea of Thieves, they couldn't get game capture to work. So these desktop capture.
Yep.
So that's an exception, but the rule of thumb is definitely some people use desktop capture because it's easier, because if you switch games or whatever, you don't have to have a second scene. But I strongly advise to just go through the little bit of effort to have two scenes for game capture, because game capture performance in OBS, if you're using OBS, is much better than and unless you have and this, a lot of these tips definitely go for people who might not have just like the top of the line PC. You know, you might have an older CPU, you might have an i5, i3, or Lord willing, an AMD processor. Just kidding. There's some really good AMD processors out there now, but still.
You know what side of the fence he's on? It's okay.
The right one.
The right one, yes.
No, so yeah, so game capture, definitely use that because it's just always more performant. The exception is if you really want to stream a game that is just it's not working with game capture, there can be a lot of issues. You know, desktop capture is the way you obviously have to go. Some games like Minecraft, if you have to do desktop capture, that's probably okay. Probably not a big deal.
Right.
So moving on to bitrate. So bitrate. If you are not an affiliate, you definitely want to have a lower bitrate because but if you are an affiliate, this is where things get a little tricky because obviously the higher the bitrate, everyone's, you know, concerned if you have the upload speed. If you don't have the upload speed, that constrains your bitrate, obviously, and we'll get into encoders in a moment and where that can play a part. So a higher bitrate, obviously, like you don't need a super high bitrate if it's a slow moving game like Hearthstone. You just don't. With Hearthstone, it's probably would be better to set your thing to 1080p. 30 frames per second. It does not need to be 60. It's more because a lot of it's still images. You can have lower bitrate. That's a good game. If you are limited on upload speed, stick to games that don't have fast movement because that is where things get a little gross.
Makes sense.
And if you're not an affiliate, you don't get streaming options ever. Well, no, that's not true. You still can. You still can. So how it works with streaming options is there's a priority queue. Partners always get it. They always get it. Affiliates get it next. So it depends on the server that they're pinging and if that server has streaming options available. Which is why if you stop your stream and start it again, you might have options that time because if you set your streaming server to auto, it might hit a different server. So if you had options all the time and you had really good upload speed, well, you could just set your bitrate to 6,000, which by the way is the max for Twitch, and things would look great. And that would be great. That would be a good reason to be partner, is you could just always count on that because streaming options are good because it's always good to keep in mind the fact that some people might not have the best internet. They might be watching you on their data plan and they'll regret it next month when they look at the bill. But you never know. So that's obviously the reason why a lot of people keep the bitrate a little lower. But if you have streaming options, you don't have to worry about that. So when you hit affiliate, depending on the game too, if it's a really popular game, sometimes you get streaming options a little less than other times, I've noticed. But so different encoders perform differently on different bit rates. So for example, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what is the difference between NVENC, the NVIDIA encoder, or X264, or QuickSync, or AMDs. If you have an AMD card, you could have it's its own thing, and I don't know really much about that, but it's very much like the NVIDIA encoder. So the difference is if you select X264, that is running that is CPU bound. That is excellent. If you are running a game that's not very CPU intensive, if you have the resources, depending on your frame rate, like I use a high refresh rate monitor. So refresh rate often sometimes like in Overwatch, as an example, Overwatch's refresh rate is CPU bound no matter what graphic settings you have. If you put it on low and you set render scale to 25%, so it looks like if I took my glasses off to stare at Overwatch, that's what it would look like. And you have a bad CPU, it will still chug at 100%. So if your CPU is chugging at 100% in Overwatch, by the way, don't turn down the graphics. Turn down your max refresh rate. It won't do a thing. So if your X264 encoder is if you have that chosen and you're playing a game that's already throttling CPU, your stream will actually have to buffer. That's one thing. Your viewers will see a lot of spinners. So when you're CPU bound, that becomes bad. But in general, the X264 encoder, if you can do it, looks better. And so that's where bitrate comes in. If you could run the X264 at its max potential with a low bitrate, it would still look good. It's why you can have YouTube videos that look good even though they don't have a super high bitrate, because they were encoded really well, because they were taking the time to do that. But we're talking about live encoding. So that's why you'll oftentimes, if you use X264, increasing the bitrate will give you better results than changing it from very fast. And you've probably seen those settings. You can change it to like very fast, faster, things like that. Keeping it very fast is recommended. Now moving on to the NVIDIA encoder. That is where things get pretty awesome. You can use the NVIDIA encoder, and it runs about as well as far as like encoding the same. You're waving?
I'm waving at Vault.
Oh. Well, since you stopped, I was just we did have a couple of questions. Huggy had a couple.
Yeah, questions fine.
He wanted to know, does slobs help with streaming your game? And I had him specify, and I think he meant does slobs, and by slobs, anyone who doesn't know, we're speaking about Streamlabs OBS, which is the combination of OBS and Streamlab elements. He was wondering if using slobs helps setting up the bitrate you should stream at. If that question makes sense? So
I don't currently use slobs, but from my understanding, it's from what I know, it's exactly OBS just with Streamlabs built in. So I don't know if they have like an extra like wizard to help you set the correct bitrate. But what you can do there, if you're talking like it depends on if you're talking like, is my bitrate throttled for uploading, or is my bitrate like it kind of depends. But what I recommend is if you're running, so there's actually some recommendations. I guess I could get a link for you guys, but if you look up recommended bit rates on Twitch, they actually have a page on this. If you're doing something like 720p at 60 frames per second, you typically want to have it between 3000 and 4500. If it's at 30 frames per second, something like 1500 to 3000 is fine. So that's where, like, if you're streaming Hearthstone at a lower frame rate, you don't need as high of a bit rate to still look pretty good. So I don't know if Streamlabs OBS does.
I know because I use slobs, and I know that the default setting is the default bit rate is 3000. That much I do know in terms of, and I haven't really that much because that's not something I know a lot about. I had read a couple of articles on where you want it at, and I think mine it's probably a little over 3000. I can't remember, but I think most of the big differences between regular OBS and Streamlabs OBS is like little bells and whistles about integration with alerts, stuff like that. But another question Huggy had is, and I think I lost it in the chat because chat is so lit right now, which is awesome. What is a good percentage to have the CPU at when you stream and play on the same PC? Like down in the corner, I think he's talking about where it says what percentage of your CPU is being used.
That's a good question.
That is a great question. So, right now, again, it's kind of it depends on the game. But while you're streaming and you're playing your game, you actually want to open up Task Manager because you need to see how much that game's taking up. And you definitely want to see an average of like 80% or less. Because any other thing, like let's say your Vast Virus Manager kicks in, and then like that takes up another 5%. If you're running at 95%, well, all of a sudden, first of all, if you're CPU bound on your game is going to be choppy. If your video card, you want to be video card bound for your game. Streaming aside, you don't want your CPU to be throttling for sure. So one thing I highly recommend, so this is going to be something I was going to mention too, but you can actually run your stream in test mode and no one will see it. And if you do that, it's still your computer thinks it's streaming. So that's how you can like test to see if your computer is like with the settings that you've done, because sometimes you don't know how your stream is going to perform until you click that start streaming button. So you can actually, if you put bandwidth test equals true after your stream key, it will run a stream. It will run a test stream. So you can run. So you run that,
cool.
and then yeah, that's actually what I did for this before, just to make sure, because I wanted this to be 1080p at 30 frames per second, since it's a talk show. It was like crisp and clear, but we don't need to be 60 frames per second. You know, we're not. Most people's webcams don't go above 24 in actuality. So so I did that to end and to test it. I did the bandwidth test equals true after my stream key. And I started it, and I was able to, and my CPU percentage went up, because I have the X264 encoder on. Because I'm not gaming, I can have I can have it using the better encoder, which is a CPU one. So that's what I've done. So
awesome. Well, keeping the questions rolling here, because awesome tough subject. And it looks like questions about this. K-Steps, what's happening, by the way? I hope you're doing good. She wanted to know what that bit rate range was for 720p. Again, she wanted you to mention that again.
720p. I will put it in chat as well as I'm saying.
Oh, look at that.
720p,
there it is.
60 FPS, or I'll say at 60. 3,000 to 4,500.
There we go.
Nice.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
I'm so glad I'm married to him. It
Hey,
makes it so much easier for me.
I wish I had my own version.
I wish I was married to Throm, so that's why
I'm husband tech support.
like just asking questions like this all the time.
Yeah, because Danny, for like Overwatch, since it's like CPU intensive, don't I have to have like my OBS using my GPU encoder or something instead of my CPU or something?
That is correct.
That?
Yeah. So we both have dual PC streaming setups, so that we can have a better encoder on our things without touching the gaming performance. And it only touches about 4% of our CPU and about 4% of our GPU on our gaming computer. So, and you can do that without a capture card. You just use something called NDI in OBS, and you install the tool. And yeah, so I'm just using like my older laptop to do it, because I can just have it dedicate to it. So,
Okay.
I never
that's
understood
a
that
whole
work.
other subject.
I was gonna say we should have that sometime, because I've never understood that. So
It's
we should. Yeah. And I know for me personally, I stream from a single PC. One, because I feel like it'll make troubleshooting easier for me.
Yeah.
Two, I'm no Thromshall, so it makes it easier. So in that case, what would you recommend in terms of what kind of encoding you want to use to stream? Because I think like I've got a 1070 GPU, so I feel like that's pretty decent. I feel like that's pretty beefy in terms of being able to handle stuff. But what would you, in terms of encoding, what would you recommend for something like that, or for someone who might have a little bit of an older rig, maybe?
So the thing that you want to keep in mind is how much troubleshooting do you want to do? How many different games do you play? If you play one game, you can fine tune that. But if you're a variety streamer, you want to keep things simple, use the NVIDIA encoder. It used to be really bad, but it's gotten to be where it looks pretty good. It looks to about comparable to the X264 at very fast, which most people can't run past that very fast. So you might as well use the NVIDIA encoder, which ends up making it so the encoding no longer touches your CPU, but instead is touching your graphics card. And if your graphics card hits 100%, your frames get lower in your game, but it's still smooth. Your stream doesn't get choppy. Although OBS does have a little bit of a problem with some cards, where if the GPU gets to 100%, the stream itself won't like buffer, but there will be some dropped frames because OBS in Windows 10 isn't getting the priority it needs. And they've never fixed that. So that's one thing I try to do, is make sure that Joker and our frame rates are low enough so that the GPU never gets like above 90%, so that it's buttery smooth.
Buttery smooth. I like it.
Buttery
smooth. I'm going to use that all the time. Man of all, do you need a capture card for dual PC streaming? He wants to know.
Oh, no, you don't. It will ultimately look better. Depending on, so we had an experience with that. We bought a $400 one because a 4K one, because we use 1440p monitors at 144 frames per second. There ends up being a huge problem when you try to move that, because it ends up going the least common denominator of the resolutions. So if you get a 1080p capture card, it makes it so you have to be gaming at 1080p. And if the refresh rate is 60 frames per second on the capture card, it has to be 60 frames per second on your gaming PC. And that starts really hindering your own, like, the streamer, the people watching will never know, but you want to still be having fun. If you're used to 1440p, it's got to feel good. So we bought a 4K one because people were saying if you work some things around, you can get it to be 1440p at 144 hertz. Couldn't do it. Is a big pain in the butt. But if you use a common 1080p setup, you can use one. It will look better most of the time, unless you tweak a lot of stuff. But no, you do not need one. Joker and I both use use the NDI plugin. Just look up. I will type it in chat. OBS NDI, and if you look that up, you will find everything you need on it. But no, just have two computers on the same network, both running OBS. Your gaming PC has all your scenes and everything, and then it just transmits all of the OBS information to the other one without encoding it, which requires if your router isn't good enough, it can use up 128 megabytes of your router's potential. So it's not gonna hurt your bandwidth, to the interwebs, unless your router is really bad. But it will. It is a thing to keep in mind. But yeah.
Okay.
It's over the network, basically.
Awesome. Huggy with the next question here. And sorry, the questions are coming right fire, man, because everyone realizes we got the genius here. So everyone's got questions. But he said, do you think it's worth streaming or even gaming in 4K resolution? No. Gaming, it depends. It depends on you. Like if you see enough of a difference. We have a 4K TV downstairs that I bought specifically because as a good input lag, and I love it. Because I bought it for gaming, and we have a PS4 Pro, and 4K looks amazing. It's awesome. So yes, there's a reason to game on it, but to stream on it, don't use a capture card. We already went over that one, because you're gonna start running into issues or buying $400 capture cards versus $100 capture cards. So, but streaming, definitely just make, if you mean like streaming at 4K, definitely not. Your resolution would be, or the bit rate that you'd have to do would just destroy the picture quality. Right. So definitely still downscale. And there's still a problem with that. There's still a problem with Joker and I even streaming at our native resolution at 1440p and then scaling down to 720 is the interface oftentimes gets smaller, like in Sims, when she streams Sims. Yeah. For the person on the monitor, man, that tiny little icon still looks good because of the pixel density. But then it then encodes that and looks way worse. So at 4K, you have these tiny icons, but not all games do that. And like in World of Warcraft, you can scale up the UI. So what I would recommend is scaling it up to look like 1080p. Scaling up the UI to look bigger on the screen in like proportionally, but yeah. So I would definitely there are precautions to take if you game at 4K and even scale down to 720p. I mean, isn't sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but isn't it pretty like? Don't you ever have a pretty serious rig to even stream at 4K right now? I feel like 4K is still kind of like
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of the really big streamers do anything in 4K right now, which obviously shouldn't be. You shouldn't do it everyone else. It seems like it's something that's becoming much of a standard quite yet. Yeah. So the one thing is you'd have to have a beefy system to even play at 4K and then even stream and downscale it. That'll even be a lot. Let alone encoding a 4K stream in real time. I mean, we're talking some. If you have like a 7900K, like one of the server i9s. Or something, then you could do it, but it could just be kind of more than it's. Especially the one thing you have to think about is the people watching. Are they going to watch at 4K? Maybe they could,
maybe their bandwidth would work, but they probably, a lot of them are going to watch on a phone. They don't care. A lot of them, like me, I just kind of watch streams while I work. Don't tell my boss. You know, it's just on my phone, and it just gets me through the day. So it definitely doesn't have to be 4K. It's just a waste of resources. There are a lot of other things you could put your time and money into.
Okay, awesome.
So we had another question. It's not specifically related to the topic, but I can relate it. Diamond Tomahawk wants to know what we think is better, face cam or no face cam. I'm curious how having a face cam affects your bit rate, because you do have more going on there than just the game.
Okay, so it's more that it doesn't affect your bit rate. It affects the performance on your CPU or GPU. It takes a little bit of CPU resources just to run a webcam, and then to encode it, it just depends on what encoder you're using, whether it's the graphics card or the CPU one. It can be a little bit, because first of all, if you encode a still image, if we all sat still here, it would be just a little less on my CPU. But like, so in Overwatch, what's funny is like when Overwatch is loading, right, it's not using very much resources. Then when I get into a game, my GPU is going crazy from OBS. Like, it's when there's more stuff happening, when it knows that there's the pixel, like a frame to frame difference is when it knows it has to encode. And so the webcam does do that. If I start doing this, it has to know it's the same thing. It's a motion
and
thing.
You do that a lot too.
I do. I actually do. I'm a big dancer on stream. I'm very, very good at dancing with my shoulders, which is the most you can really do on stream. Which is the next topic, by the way, dancing on stream. But so no, not not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. It doesn't really affect it very much, but it can. It depends on if you'll feel it more if you have a really old system.
Yeah, but usually it's pretty okay.
Usually it's fine. Depends on how many filters you have. If you use LUTs, if you use a green screen, there's some green screen programs that you can use as plugins that kill CPU performance. So
makes sense.
Well, and that's something I've been wondering about, because I'm thinking about switching to a green screen setup. So is that pretty intensive on your rig at all, or is it?
Mine,
does it depend?
So that's what's cool. So it's built into OBS. You use a chroma or a color key.
Right.
And I just got into it. You can see my green screen back there. And it's not. It doesn't seem to have like bogged things down, other than taking 30 extra minutes to set up because of lighting changes and things like that.
Right.
As the sun goes down and the natural lighting coming into the room, like all of a sudden you can see like these like flickers right behind you.
Yeah. No, and I'm curious, because it seems like most of the streamers I see, I see that use a green screen. Is it better for the chroma key for the camera to be kind of straight on? Like me, if you guys see my streams, my camera's kind of to the side like that. It seems like most people, either for lighting purposes or whatever, the camera seems straight on. Do you know if that makes a difference or not?
So one of the reasons is probably shadows. Like if you're close enough to it, you won't see a shadow. So, but does it matter if you do it properly? Which I finally did. I went to Walmart and I bought a lamp for on either side. Just these guys will do. They were $17 each. They were not very much. And you put them on either side. And I saw this because I was looking up how people do green screens with photography. And they were like, how to do like DIY setups to make the lighting right. And like, so I looked into it, as I do with things. And so, yeah, you want to have even lighting and you want to iron it. Like I haven't done. I should iron mine. Because if it's a solid green, it's going to look beautiful. You'll notice a lot of people may look a little fuzzy on the outside. And that's because it's just how it works. But if the lighting is really good, they'll be crisp and clear, like they're just, filming for a movie in front of a green screen. Because, so even lighting is the biggest thing. And then choosing the correct color key, that's a whole other thing. And just tweaking your settings until it works. And the biggest thing is you want if you do green screen, do not rely on natural light. which natural light looks beautiful. But for me, I always start streaming in the evenings, and there's tons of light coming in. And by the time I'm done, there's no light coming in. And that was a problem a few weeks ago. So yeah, you want to rely on a controlled environment. So otherwise you will be tweaking your stream throughout before the stream starts and whatnot. So what was the original question?
Did you have another question? You had your, I saw your.
Sorry, I got distracted because we something in chat. So this is all basically related to streaming PC. Diamond Tomahawk was wondering about with like PS4 and PlayStation Cam. I don't know how any of that works. Do you know if there's settings from console streaming that you'd have to worry about bitrate and that type of stuff?
Okay, so one of the things I don't know enough about is streaming directly from the console. Because I don't know if it only has the option to go straight to Twitch. Like, do you get a face cam? Can you go to your own OBS without a capture card? I'm not entirely sure.
That's
I know
subject for something we can check into later too. So.
Yeah, we can look into that because we have a console and we can always just test it out.
This seems like a good time to go to our next subject, but do you have anything else that you'd like to share, Throm?
Yeah, one quick tip that can help everyone out very quickly. Color options. Set it to 709. Partial. Just do it. Just everybody do it. No one.
709. Partial.
Okay.
Circle. Underline. Got
it. Because OBS by default is, I think it's like 601 or something. And partial. You want to keep the partial coloring. That's how Twitch does their stuff. 709 is for HD, and 720p and up is considered HD. And the default is not for HD, so it does improve your colors. I've gone back and compared the two, and it has a bigger color range. So for like better monitors and stuff like that, people will notice a difference in the stream quality that they see, and it doesn't take any resource. Like it's really good. It was a really good fast change that most people don't know about. I'll write that in
well,
chat.
thank you for sharing all this, because I'll be honest, I'm overwhelmed, but in a good way, because it's given me a lot to think about, because I don't know a lot of this, and so it's been good.
Yeah, really good.
Absolutely. I know I'll be going back and I'll be taking more copious notes. So
same.
Yeah, we'll have the VOD to check back too.
Yeah, we'll have to make clips. Throm's tips in clips.
I like that.
I like it.
Tip clips.
I like it a lot. All right. Well, again, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So, moving on, what I'd like to talk about fits perfectly as chat. We've got a little bit of stuff going on right now in chat. But we'll get to that momentarily. I would like to visit with everyone tonight about how to keep composure and deal with certain things that may happen on stream. Some of that can be maybe somebody comes in chat and says something that's kind of negative and down and could potentially bring everybody else down, raging on stream, and of course, our favorite subject, the trolls. So we'll start with the down news and stuff. And you guys, I love all of you. Thank you for the love and support that you guys have been throwing out there. Down news. So every now and then we may get someone that comes into one of our streams and comes in and it's like really down, like maybe, man, my dog died today. And it's subjects like that can be really hard to deal with in chat, because most of the time when we're playing games, we're having fun. We're joking around. Maybe it's a chill stream. And that stuff can just be kind of like a slap in the face. So what do? Well, then, honestly, the best way to do it is to acknowledge. You don't want to ignore, because especially if it's someone that's a regular in your stream, you don't want to ignore that they're coming to you to talk. They're hurting. They need somebody to talk to. So first and foremost, acknowledge and sympathize and be like, I'm really sorry. That's got to be a tough time right now. And if you are comfortable and depending on the subject, you can always offer your DMs. Most of us are not so large of a streamer that we can't receive those kind of messages here and there. So that's always a good way. And if you aren't comfortable with it and it's a subject that you feel that they do need to talk to someone, encourage them to seek out someone to talk to, whether it's a family member, a counselor, clergy. Like, there's a lot of people out there that would be willing to listen to them depending on what the subject is and help them. But basically, you're in control of your stream. So when they come in and they say something like that could potentially bring everybody down, you as the entertainer, as the person, right? It's up to you to keep things going. So you want to acknowledge, but don't let it bring it down. Keep it up. Keep your energy up. Just maintain what's going on, if that makes sense. Like, so acknowledge, be supportive, and then, just move on. Don't let them take over the chat. If they continue to want to talk about it, encourage them, be like, I'm sorry, it's not really the best place to talk. Again, reach out to me in DMs. Do you have someone that maybe you could go visit with? Know that we care about you and we're here for you. But now maybe isn't the best time and place for that.
Right.
So that's kind of along the lines with that. As far as like raging on stream, we've all reached a point where maybe we've gotten really annoyed with the game and we like rage and they're just gaming. Because I mean, any game at some point could potentially cause us to get frustrated. And some of us rage more than others. And something to remember is it's never a bad thing if you need to take a 2 to 5 minute break. Even if you're not raging, maybe if you just need to get up and stretch, you've been streaming for a while, a 2 to 5 minute break's cool. Your peeps are going to wait for you. It's a good time for them to take a 2 to 5 minute break, go get some food, whatever you need to do. But if you're raging, you could potentially chase viewers away. So in order to stay calm, be mindful of what you're doing, take that breath, refocus, and be like, you know what, I'll be right back. I need to go get a drink of water, and then go walk it off. Okay, a streamer is not a therapist. I'm going to throw that out there. As most people are not capable of having that. They don't have the background. Therapists have training. They know how to deal with certain subjects, how to talk to people, how to guide them. That's why they're a therapist. So no, it's not the streamer's job to be a therapist. A streamer's job is to entertain, as first and foremost. That's what we are. We're entertainers. That doesn't mean that we can't be friendly. That doesn't mean that we can't care. Doesn't mean we can't listen. But it's not our job, nor should it be our job, to be saying what a person should or shouldn't do specifically, because that could cause more harm than good. First rule of thumb with therapy is if you're not comfortable or have that knowledge, you don't do it. You pass it on to someone who can and should help them.
Right.
It's never good. You don't want to do more damage. Listening is one thing. Guiding and saying you need to do this, and this. You're depressed. You need to be on drugs. That's not our call to make.
So, should we have like our therapist's business card sitting right there? Be like, I get a referral bonus.
Right. No, but it's not that, and it's okay to say, this is something that maybe you should reach out and talk to someone. I have done that. I've had people come to me with subjects that I'm not comfortable with, helping them, and I let them know I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to be there for you, but maybe you should seek out someone out there, a professional, someone that can. And again, that could be therapy, that could be clergy. If you have someone, if you're in a church and you have someone that you can turn to that can guide you a little bit and help bring peace of mind and comfort to you, by all means reach out to them. That's what they're there for. So
very cool.
So yeah.
My
and-
experience with people coming in and saying something depressing is usually trolls for me. Anyway.
Yeah,
They'll come in and be like, my mom died.
It's
And
always
you're
my
like,
mom died. Yep, I've
yeah,
seen
or
that 3 or
something,
4
and you're
times.
like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
I'm sorry, and then they say something else stupid.
If they were a
They're
regular,
just like, whatever.
that's one. If they're regular, then it's
Right.
it's in us to believe them, but not to like make the streams focus about it. I definitely
Usually
agree
my
there.
regulars don't really bring that up in my chat. though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's probably because there's not really that many people. Like, it's kind of coincidental that everyone's dog and family member dies that often, and then
Right.
they get
How many
online,
dogs
and
you have?
that's the first person they tell. But I do get that
Yeah.
there might be someone who does that, who's
Right.
really who's genuine, and then I feel really bad because like they're kind of in the wrong place to just come to a random streamer and do that. But yeah, I definitely get acknowledged, but not.
I know the one thing I've seen, I think, and I like to troll or whatever, is that they'll cheer a bit, but the message will be, super toxic. And one thing I started doing, I actually got the idea from your stream, Joker, is that I raised the bit level, right? So you got to cheer more than one bit, because I mean, it's still not a lot, but I mean, a lot of times make the effort to do it. If it's more than that, I'm sure there's some probably dedicated trolls out there who literally have nothing better to do than to do that. But hey, at the end of the day, you still got some bits for it. So
True.
Yeah, at least you're getting 5 instead of 1.
right. Exactly.
Troll me.
But yeah, like the minimum an ad will give you on the web is 5, but that could be five 1-bit like donations.
Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
I think it was on Mana Vault stream. I think someone did 100 bits one at a time, and it went on for a solid minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah. And when something like that happens, it's perfectly fine to stop what you're doing, pause the game, just pause it, and you only have to do it long enough to hit that ban button. Or if you have a moderator, just let him know, get him out of here.
Yep.
Get him out of here. And that's all you have to do.
Mhm. So I think what's first, and I know most of the people here in the community that mods for their channel. If there's anyone that doesn't, I know there's a lot of people here that would be willing to help out. But say you're in a situation, I mean, you're mine, so you guys can have
I'm
me.
saying I don't have a mod.
Oh no, you don't. Which is funny because you're like a mod for everyone, yet you don't have one yourself. That's so easy. But so and sometimes there's times when either maybe it's late at night or your people that are mods aren't around to help you do that. So what are some commands that you can use? In case no one else is around, just in case no one might not know.
The command's super easy. Well, first of all, you can always just like, if you have better TTV, you can, if you have that extension, if you right click on the person's name, you can do anything from a quick purge to a full-on ban, and it has a scale, so you can kind of do the time. But you can simply just type into your own chat, /timeout space the name or /ban in the name, and it'll take care of it for you immediately like that. You can also just like right click and click ban as well, I believe.
Also, you can enable mod buttons, and then it's literally just one button.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And just enable it right
easy.
next to it. Yeah, it's just the cogwheel at the bottom left of your chat.
Nice.
Perfect. Exactly. It's really simple, and it honestly, it's better to take that pause. Like sometimes the trolls can be kind of funny, and you just ignore them and you kind of laugh it off. But there's nothing wrong even in that moment to pause long enough to take care of it. Because it literally takes less than 10 seconds. And then they're done. They're gone.
Take care of trolls too, not just for yourself, but for viewers. Because I've been in other people's streams before where they just keep everybody in there. And there have been like some terrible people in their chat.
Oh god, yeah.
And I leave their stream.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't even want to say anything because
you shouldn't be that desperate for views, or like your worry for how they feel went out the door when they started being rude.
Yeah,
exactly. And Huggy, I'm gonna kind of answer your question as a whole. He's wondering about how you deal with trolls being extremely sexist. We had a small taste of that even tonight. Someone came in saying that Joker and I needed more makeup.
No, I need more makeup.
I need more makeup. Yeah, I left my makeup kit at home, so
true, yeah.
Forgot about
that quick trip to Florida. So overall, what you have to think about with trolls and consider, okay, I'll get to that question in just a second. Sorry, I was reading. I can't.
Huggy questionnaire of the year.
my multitasking is not as good as it usually is. So what you have to think of with trolls is that oftentimes they're borderline, if not full-on, bullies. They come in, they'll make nasty remarks to you, to people in your community, other racists, other people, like they're there because either one, they're bored, or two, they want attention. So the best thing, and you'll hear it a lot from me and from others, is don't feed the trolls. Don't feed them. Nope. The minute you give them attention, you react in any way, they're automatically above you, and they've won.
And they kind of take over the stream that way.
They can very easily.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so easy to just pause the game, hit that button. If you have a mod, let them out. And something you need to decide on too, depending on who you are, how you feel about trolls, and if you have mods, set up a protocol. So maybe if it's just kind of like a half-assed comment that's very trolly but isn't necessarily harmful, maybe you just time them out. Maybe it's an immediate ban if it's sexist or racist.
If I think it's going to annoy Joker, I ban him. I just straight ban, because I'm like, it's so much better to have a small, nice family than anyone that if it would annoy the streamer, if they come in, she's playing Mercy and they're like, wow, Mercy is such a boring character, that's enough for a ban, because I'm like, that you're entitled to your opinion, but you're also entitled to get out. Like,
Exactly.
Like, okay, well, this is a stream where she's really branded herself around this character in this game. So, and there are people here watching her that like Mercy and disagree with you, and we don't have time for this.
No, it's because it breeds negativity, and that's the last thing we need, and that's the last thing your community wants, your viewers, because like we talked about last time, a lot of people go to Twitch to escape the world, and they escape it because of negativity in their own day-to-day lives. So why go somewhere where there's more negativity? So that's a small gift that you can give to yourself and to your viewers to just take care of it, get them out of there.
Yep.
So yeah, decide on what your protocol is. You could have, maybe a warning followed by a timeout followed by a ban, or it could just be a timeout and a ban, or directly to the ban. Like, you can decide and you can set those levels. You can also use auto mod on Twitch. I'm not a fan of it because it will flag things that are really not flagged, shouldn't be flagged in my opinion, but it is there for your use if you're not comfortable modding yourself right away at first and you don't have anybody there to help you mod. That's why I don't have a mod, is because I've been on Twitch for 4 years now, and only one of those years have I been streaming. The other 3 I've been modding. So for me, it's just second nature to take care of stuff as it goes.
You've seen it all.
So I'm very comfortable, and I have a story actually that I'd like to share here in a minute or two about that, because I have seen quite a lot of stuff. But yeah, just remember, don't stoop to their level. Right. So a lot of times when they come in and you're stupid, you're ugly, and our first thing is to get defensive and come back at them. And that's the worst thing we can do, because it gives them that attention they're craving, that they're wanting, that reaction. Because yeah, trolls, they just want that attention. They want they want it. It's awful. And something to remember as you go along is that trolls can bring us down when we're on stream, especially if they are being super negative. If we have, I know we've had instances within the community in their own personal Discord where somebody will join it and then they start using the text-to-speech function, just blaring really racial stuff. And that can really bring you down on stream. And what it comes down to is that you're letting them get to you. You're the one that's upsetting yourself with it. So if you just kind of be like, okay, dude, you're done, you're out. That's not acceptable here. You move on, and then you continue on your way. Because at the end of the day, they're the asshat that has to live with themselves, and you are still your same amazing person. So there's no reason to let them get to you, because then they're winning.
Right.
And we don't want to let them win. And it's always a reflection of who they are, not who you are. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
an example of trolling that I have seen that's one of the worst that I've ever had. I actually had a troll. He was a known troll. We kind of let him hang out for a while because nothing that he did was super offensive. It was just obnoxious. One night he came in to the stream and, excuse me, I got a popcorn kernel stuck right here.
Don't die. Don't die on stream. You're not allowed to.
What I get for eating food.
You'll get banned.
So he openly admitted to having multiple accounts as well. So he was one of these that was very troublesome, but we didn't really have what we felt was grounds enough to fully unban him yet. He came into stream. I was moderating. He whispered me, telling me how depressed he was and that he wanted to commit suicide and just all of this really down stuff. Then he disappeared. He quit talking. He wasn't in chat anymore. And about 15, 20 minutes later, his brother joined the stream.
Oh, jeez.
And instantly messaged me saying, I found my brother and there's this open bottle of pills next to him. What do I do?
Wow.
So I spent my night treating it as if perhaps it was true because I didn't know for sure. But as things went on, it was obvious that it was himself the entire time. It was one person. He orchestrated the whole thing. And I fed into it because I was, I just did. I fed into it. And it's hard not to sometimes. But later I talked to him and I was like, why do you do this? Why? Just why? And his response was, and he's a 14-year-old kid, by the way. It's the internet, honey, I can, was his response.
All right, then.
So you will get some very creative trolls. You'll get ones that are just not as creative. We've probably all seen the I swallow cum names coming through a lot. So there are numerous ways of people trolling. Now, what can you do as the streamer? So I'm going to do kind of a quick little thing with Eddie. Eddie's going to help me with this. We're going to go through it twice. The first time, I'm going to have Eddie be mean to me. Okay. And he can say whatever he wants. He can make up stuff. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to try to stop him with one way, which is the way that a lot of us will commonly meet that. So, Eddie, you can start however you want. You can call me an idiot. You can make fun of my big forehead, the fact I wear glasses, whatever you want.
Oh, what is this, a community stream? I'm going to come in here. Bed. Where's your bed so messy? I don't know. Is that what it's called?
It is. It's perfect. But I'm like, I don't have a comeback.
That's
her weak spot.
It's the
You
best.
knew she was sensitive.
Versatile. All right.
What too far, man?
People who wear glasses are stupid. You're four eyes.
Yeah, well, you're stupid. Keep going.
Only people that wear contacts are cool. People that wear glasses are stupid four eyes pants.
Your wife's yelling at you.
Yeah, my wife wears glasses and she's yelling at me right now.
I can't help wearing glasses. It's not my fault. Why are you being such a jerk?
He's like,
I wasn't breastfed long enough and got picked on the playground, so I come on Twitch and make fun of people. You suck.
You're being so mean. I'm not telling you. Right? Okay, so I wasn't getting anywhere, right? By taking offense and like getting back at him with, you're mean. Why are you being so mean? Why are you such a jerk?
Right.
Like, you don't get anywhere by meeting them. We're laughing because it's funny. But if you think about a lot of times in streams, maybe your own and others you've seen, the streamer will automatically like get defensive and take that route of being kind of the jerk back to him. And the problem with that is we're stooping to their level, we're letting them win, and they're getting that reaction from us. They're getting the anger, maybe they're getting the tears because they called us ugly. And we're sensitive about that. You know, they're winning at the end of it. Show boobs. We get that one. That one's a lot too.
Okay, steps.
Now, I want to do it again, and I want to show you a different way that you can handle it. So, Eddie, you can pick the same stuff. You can pick new stuff, whatever you want.
All right. Mac and cheese is for idiots. Isn't that what you're eating? We're eating mac and cheese. Is that what that was?
I mean, that's your opinion.
Only stupid chicks eat popcorn. And long hairs for wusses. I don't know how to do this.
Not everybody likes long hair. That's totally fine. I don't have to accept your opinion. That's totally up to you.
Only stupid people sit in gaming chairs.
That's your opinion. I happen to like mine. It's really comfy, but have you ever tried one? They're really cool.
What are you, 12? You don't know how to make your bed? How many blankets do you have on your bed?
Blankets are the best. What are you talking about, man? Okay, so see,
I'm so bad at this.
But here's my question for you, Eddie. Which time was it more difficult for you to try to troll?
Definitely when you were taking it in stride and like keeping your cool was a lot, because I wasn't getting a rise out of you, so it was like, you know, I'm assuming for these troll peoples, it's not as fun if you don't elicit a reaction. So
yep.
Yeah.
If you don't give them a reaction, it takes the fun out of it. It completely kills it for them, because that's why they're there. They want the attention. They wanted a rise. Like, for example, that one that kept talking about, oh, the girls need to be wearing more makeup. They were wanting us to like freak out on them. But we didn't. We pretty much ignored it. Joker's like, I got a tip for you, and she just left it at that. Like, which was fine because the dipshit, I don't think even probably noticed it. But the best thing is just
I can't help it sometimes.
Stay calm.
You'll have to tell me later. I didn't see.
And be kind. Believe it or not, being kind is the best way to deal with the troll. And it's not necessarily our first thought to have.
Reaction, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it kind of, if you want people to maintain positivity in your stream, if you show that I don't care what you say about me, that's your opinion. That's cool. If you say something nasty, super sexual, you found the door in, you can either find the door out or I can help you find the door. What are we taking respects for, guys?
For my acting class.
Oh. I was like, what's going on? So, things to think about to help keep your mood from being affected by trolls. First of all, don't dwell on it. Even after you get them there, it can be really easy to be like, man, that guy was such a jerk. He said such mean things to me. And it will affect your streaming whether you realize it or not, because it's still kind of playing in that back of your mind. Don't dwell on it. They have to live with themselves, and it's not your problem at the end of the day. You don't have to look at them in the mirror. Know yourself and what elicits responses. If you know that somebody's going to come in and say something that's going to irritate you, much like Throm was saying with stuff about Mercy being a bad hero, or, you know, if you know that that's going to irritate you, know that when somebody comes in that they're potentially trying to irritate you, and you can set in your mind, okay, if this continues, I'll just handle it. I'll take care of it and let them move on with their day. Moderation can super help. Again, moderate and move on, whether that's from yourself or someone in your channel that's helping you moderate. Sorry, I'm dying. We're
going to ban you if you die. We keep telling you we weren't joking. Don't do
I'm
it.
trying not to die. I'm sorry. And if you have to pause, when we react, our first instinct when we get insulted or somebody says something really nasty that we don't like is to get upset immediately. It's just the natural response of things. But if you take that moment to pause and breathe, it gives you a moment to think on how you want to handle it. And some people like to troll the trolls, which can work. It can also make things worse because, again, you're kind of getting back on that level. I think in everyday example that I had a woman at work who just got super pissed off and was complaining about the place and that she'd never come back. And she was like headed out the door saying all these nasty things. And I just looked at her, smiled, and said, "I'm sorry you feel that way. Have a great day." Yeah. She stopped talking. And she goes, "Yeah, you too," and left. It stopped her because I was being nice. Instead of being like, "Well, then why are you even here? If you don't like being here, why are you here?" Which is a lot of people's first instinct.
No, you have a nice day.
You have a nice day.
Don't tell me what to do.
And I was actually really, as I was prepping for this, I was amused. A partnered streamer that I occasionally watch, Smokealoak, he actually tweeted yesterday about trolls, and he wrote, "When it comes to trolls on and offline, I've always found it best to handle it with diplomacy and kindness 95% of the time. Always strive to be better and set a good example 95% of the time." So this is a guy that's been doing it. He's been on for like 5 years. He gets his fair share of trolls, and honestly, when a troll comes into him, he gives them the option. You're straighten up. You're welcome to join the chat. If not, we'll see you later. And honestly, that's all you have to do. You don't have to let them get to you. To go back to Huggy's question about how many mods does a streamer need, it depends. Depends on how big your stream is. It depends on your mods, because sometimes you can have one mod that can do 10 things, or you might have 5 mods that can do 2 things each. And that's neither is bad. It just depends on who you have around that can help you and who you have that you can trust to help with that moderation. I hope that answers that question. Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts or stories about trolls that you've had? I know Slot was talking about she's had a lot of sexist people and how she just ignores them and bans them and moves on. But
I get a lot. I need a lot of mods.
And I mean, I think unfortunately it's one of those things now that your female content, you're going to get a lot worse than any male content creator out there. Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. Unfortunately, a lot of times gaming and streaming and immaturity go hand in hand, unfortunately. You could say the same thing about someone being racist, whatever your sexual orientation is, you'll get a lot of that, unfortunately. So especially if that's something, you come to my stream, obviously, hey, look, there's a black dude on screen. So obviously, but I mean, sometimes it's not that easy. Maybe depending on like whatever your sexual orientation is, maybe you'll mention something offhand and then you'll get a troll for that. So it definitely sucks. I think most of us, you're probably good with 1 or 2 moderators. I think a lot of it depends, like, music, we're on different time zones. Lots of times you're there for my streams, but maybe if, it's a situation where that person might not be around either because you're on the West Coast and the East Coast and you stream late, maybe you need to have an extra one, just kind of like a late night one or something like that, to help out. So
exactly. Good points. Luchamite was talking, if you haven't been trolled, you've been really lucky so far, but it will happen. Everybody will get at least one troll. Yep. I've had a guy that came in, I was playing a game badly. I was admitting the entire time I was playing it badly because Queen Potato here. And he's like, "Hey, guess what?" And I was like, "What? I'm bad at the game?" He's like, "Yeah." Like,
well, how did you know?
I was like, "I've been talking about the entire time. Like, you can't troll me by telling me something I already know. Like, yes, I have a big forehead. Okay, cool. Like, I don't." And you don't have a big forehead. People might think you have to have.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I have a height. Anyway.
Really? I've got like a 10 head. All right. I've got all of the forehead, so I don't want to hear it. Anyway, continue.
I lost my thought. Give me a sec. You don't have to have necessarily a strong sense of confidence or self-esteem either. You might feel like you have to in order to be effective at being such a confident statement about your words don't affect me. But if you just take that breath, be calm, and realize what they're doing, all you have to do is like, you know what? It's your opinion. I don't agree with it. I think you're stupid. That probably wouldn't actually be the best way to word it, but because you end up trolling back. But it's what I'm saying is, even if you feel like you can't do it, you can. You just trust in yourself and saying, you know what? I don't agree with what you're saying. You're being really mean. It's not appreciated. It's not welcome. You can either chill out, be cool, or move along, because we're not going to talk to you anymore.
I ended up having to put my stream in follower-only mode because of the amount of trolls I get.
It helps
Because
a lot.
I was like, it's either that or I'm done streaming, because it was just really annoying.
Yeah.
And I also have automod on because, and it's now, automod's now a joke in my chat because sometimes he'll automod all my friends constantly, and he always, like, some days he just picks on one person, and usually it's enemy down, but enemy down's a mod now, so he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. But.
It's true. It's a shame, really.
And like, no, like I don't even, like, nothing he'll say, I'm like, I have no idea how that's even close to automod, but automod will like automod him, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's why I don't like automod.
But I like automod for me anyway, because
it's caught a few
usually
people.
the trolls that come into mine say something really, really bad right away, and automod catches that pretty easily.
Right.
And so no one gets to see it except for my mods. And it's nice because it doesn't even get put in the chat, so they don't even get the satisfaction of it ever getting posted.
Showing
Like that first line of defense. Yeah.
That is a good point of automod. I personally don't like it because it does catch the stupid stuff, and you're like, why? Like Rambo one time was in my stream and he was trying to talk and he was sassing me like he does, and it kept automodding him and it kept pissing him off, and it wasn't anything that needed to be modded. But for me, I just shut it off.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons it's good to have a mod is to approve the dumb messages.
Yeah, they approve it quickly. Yeah, I think we've gotten pretty good at approving the dumb ones.
Yeah.
And denying the other ones pretty quickly.
I'm gonna allow this because Huggy was using it as an example.
I was gonna say, look, there's an example right there in chat.
Thanks, Huggy. Thank you, Huggy. But, well, you knew it would, Huggy. Don't even act like you didn't know. So, yeah, I had one last thought I wanted to add, but now I don't remember what it was. So it must have been super important. I guess the takeaway is just be calm, be kind, and don't... Oh, Huggy had a question. That's what it was. What do you do when a friend trolls you? Do you give them a pass? You don't have to. If your friends are coming in and trolling you and they're legit being mean and rude and racist, sexist, whatever, just because they're your friend doesn't give them a pass. Especially if it's affecting the people in your stream, in your community. And you can always talk to them later and be like, look, I'll unban you if you stop being a whatever.
Dinkus.
Because they just because they're a friend in your everyday life doesn't mean that they have special privileges and can get away with stuff. That's not okay. And honestly, if they're doing that, they're probably not actually a real friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I'd keep those people. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe people need to get pretty picky with their friends.
Yeah.
So be calm, be kind, and don't let them affect you is the best way. And I know it can be super hard sometimes, especially if you're already feeling kind of down. But at the end of the day, they don't have a button that they're pushing that controls when you get mad. It's not like I have this button and the minute I hit it, Eddie's instantly mad. Like, I can't do that to him. It's his choice to accept what I'm saying and get pissed off about it.
And plus, you have a button that instantly bans them. So you actually have the button to affect them.
Exactly. That's a very good point. So, any questions, thoughts, concerns about trolls or maintaining composure on stream overall.
I have just one thought just to add.
Yeah.
Is just Joker and I have talked about this a lot, that streaming is actually like a performance art in a way. If you watch any of the bigger streamers, there are some streamers who are notorious for letting trolls get to them and people find it funny, like all the 8-year-olds. I know I have a few names in mind, but I won't name them here because they might be watching for all I know.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, we're awesome, so and they're pretty infamous for getting mad and everything. So, but them aside, it's a performance art, so it's why your stream's got to look good, sound good. But overall, you gotta be like, I like to think of the VODs later. We've thought in the VODs, they don't know about your troll. And a lot of times they're not looking at the chat of the VODs. And I rewatch VODs all the time because it's basic. I don't have cable anymore, so I need something.
Same.
Would never use it now. But so like it shouldn't show up in the VODs. If it's something so horrible, you can at least acknowledge it. But if it's something that you don't even have to acknowledge, and you can that's a nice thing about having mods who can just take care of things for you. Or at least definitely don't let it affect you later. Like, especially if you do YouTube later. Like if I was in an Overwatch match, put it on YouTube later. And but I lost my composure in it, I wouldn't put up the match. It could have been a totally wasted, wasted of a recording or a VOD. So
Sure. Something you can kind of think of along those lines is that troll is in your stream if you take care of it, maybe a minute to 3 minutes tops. So why let that 3 minutes ruin the other 3 hours of your stream?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Plain and simple. I saw a couple of things in chat I wanted to touch on. Diamond Tomahawk commented that kids at school are saying, you're bad, stop streaming. First of all, if you think back to last week after your stream, you kept talking about don't let the haters get to you. Believe in what you were saying, my dear, because even if they don't believe in you, it doesn't matter. It's all about how you feel about yourself. If you enjoy it, you have fun doing it, and you're making friends, you keep doing it. You obviously enjoy playing the games and connecting with people, and that's more important. Don't listen to the haters.
And yeah, sorry, I was gonna.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Another thing, Diamond, is, dude, school ends, man. I mean, school can suck. I don't know what grade you're in. I'm assuming probably like high school-ish. High school's terrible. I know I've got great memories of high school and also some really horrible memories of high school. Just remember that you're going to get out of there. You're going to go on with your life. You've got people here in Twitch crew who are always going to support you. And then those people are going to, who cares what they do? You know what I mean? So don't let them see you sweat, man. Don't let them get to you. You know what I mean? Because children are horrible, especially teenagers. So.
Yep.
And I just want to quickly point out, I'm not laughing at what Eddie was saying. Jono got auto-modded for saying you do you, boo-boo, because auto-mod got caught it as boob.
Oh, man.
Good old Automod. He's great for conversation.
Yeah.
Really, Automod is there just to talk about.
Automod himself is a troll.
It's true.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah.
And then Stream Snipers is definitely a trolly thing, New York Gamer. Basically, all you can do is ban them. Especially if they're being toxic, they come in and they start saying stuff, and then they get on the same server that you're on in the game, and they just keep like camping where you're at and killing you or whatever. Just ban them and then switch servers. And they may follow you. You can always also get rid of your screen, and when you switch servers, they won't be able to see what server you're on. Change your name on Steam if you need to, if they're following you via that way. There's ways you can avoid it.
Baggy also mentioned what I was going to say too, is that you can also delay. There's a delay there, so they're not seeing exactly what you're seeing, and that can
right.
fix that too. But my question is, New York Gamer, how are you getting stream sniped already? You must be pretty badass in whatever games you're playing and be getting stream sniped at this level. That's usually something the high level streamers got to work. So take it as a compliment, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're
It's
getting
true.
stream sniped, it's probably because you're a popular streamer and you're really good at the game you're playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
usually.
someone really has nothing to do.
Better.
Right. Which unfortunately happens more.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. If anybody, if we're done with that, I'm curious if anyone in chat has any other questions, thoughts, concerns regarding anything we talked about today, stuff that's coming up.
Musa, do you want to shoot another reminder for we have
No.
people that
No.
here? After no, okay. Well,
So this coming week, again, as a reminder, we have Siege tourney coming up on Friday. Be on the lookout for the signups. In addition to that, we'll be back next week for Crew Talk. Same time, same place, same bad channel. Just kidding. What else? Oh, any graphic designers out there that haven't, there is a graphic design form role that you can apply for. Hit me up with that too, and I will be happy to help coordinate that and let you know what that entails if you are interested. So Siege tourney coming up is the next thing next Friday.
awesome. So yeah, just one last time. Any last questions from anybody there watching? Anybody? Bueller? Okay, well, if not,
Katya has an advice question. Will it be cheaper to upgrade or buy a new PC?
It depends.
Let's go ahead and give this one to Throm. Yeah.
If you
Take
can,
it away.
if you can
Okay,
upgrade, then that will always be a cheaper alternative. It depends on what you're upgrading. If you need to upgrade your CPU, if you have like a good graphics card already, a lot of times upgrading your CPU might mean you have to upgrade your motherboard and your RAM at the same time, which is basically a new PC. So, but upgrading, you can oftentimes get a big oomph for your money. So go for the upgrade rather than if you know how to upgrade your own PC. That is, if you were to like take it in to have it upgraded, that could be bad. But yeah, if you are good at building your own computer, upgrading would still be better than building a brand new PC. Just depends on the part.
Nice.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and so we had one from we had one from Huggy. He wanted to thoughts on streamers using donations to have viewers talk, which I actually don't know much about. I didn't know that was even a thing. Maybe you guys can speak more to that because I actually don't understand that question, Huggy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Some of them I think will sometimes, in a way of trolling, like you're talking with the bits, they'll donate a certain amount to get the streamer's attention, to talk to them. I know kind of along those same lines, some female streamers have received donations to try to get them to show their boobs or things like that. You really have to take it on a case by case. If they're just like, they send you a donation and they're wanting to have a conversation, first of all, if they're having to donate to you to ask you to talk to them, you're probably not doing something right as a streamer. You should be talking to them anyway.
Agreed.
Now, if they're doing it to be trolly, get them out of there. Doesn't matter. Be like, thanks for the money.
No refunds. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so that is what Huggy meant. Just if they'll only talk to them if they donate.
Okay.
Interesting. I didn't even know anyone did that.
Yeah, same. That was a new thing.
Oh no, Danny, your mic is doing the
mic.
thing.
Oh, he sounds like Megatron.
It's doing the thing again.
This brings me to my next point about voice
there it
meter
is.
banana.
If chat's going too fast, but if chat is moving way too fast for you, New York, there is actually a slow mode that you can enable to slow chat down.
Yeah.
It keeps people from sending messages too quickly. So that is a thing that you can do. And obviously, if chat is moving too fast, even with slow mode, you'll have to just, it's a matter of training yourself to read chat and catching the stuff that is important, because every acknowledgement of every hype emote isn't going to be important at that point. You'll have to train for those keywords, those key phrases that you know our conversation or questions are related to the game. So
prioritize, right?
Yeah.
Right. Also, kind of a good problem to have, you know.
Yep,
I mean,
yep,
It is.
yep.
I have no problem keeping it with my chat if I'm ever in the
Oh,
take it as an indictment on, you know, people want to be in your stream. So, yeah, good questions. So, yeah, unless I missed any more questions, guys? Anything else? Bueller?
How does it work? Are you talking about slow mode? It's on PC. If you go to your settings for chat, you have everything. You can add timestamps, you can add mod icons, whatever you need, but you can click slow mode, and your mods can as well to slow things down. It's just a click of a button, dude. Just a click of a button. And so we're working on who we're gonna raid, but before we raid, I want to give a quick thank you to Joker and Throm for hanging out with us, bringing some awesome topics and conversation.
Of course.
Y'all are
Yeah,
awesome.
you guys did awesome. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Thank you.
thanks for having us.
It was fun.
No problem. So, yeah. So in terms of who we're going to raid, Baggy, I'll leave it up to you, man. You threw some conversations in our chat here. I have a suggestion here. So yeah, that's what I think. You know, like I said, you're the crew leader, man. So you just go ahead and pick one. But yeah. So once again, thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for tuning in here. Thanks for questions. Thanks for engaging us. I'm Eddie Nines. She's Music Shells. She's Jokerluvr. He's Thromshall. We are Twitch Crew. This was Crew Talk, and we love you guys. So have a good night. See ya. I should do like the Brady Bunch dance.
I'll do the dance I always do.
I don't know the words to the Brady Bunch song.